Now I just want to show you this really clever little trick that I've seen on YouTube. It's to take your basil that you purchase in the supermarket and to replant it on, and from these little stems you can create a basil plant, an individual basil plant, which will produce lots and lots of basil for you over the coming months. Now I tried this last summer and it was a great success, so I am just going to show you. So you take your basil, you snip off the individual stems, and also you would take away any of the extra little basil leaves that are growing. I'm going to use them in my salad, and I'm going to leave maybe the 4 up there at the top, so we have 2 larger and 2 small ones, and that just takes the pressure off the stem itself. And what you're aiming for is over a period of maybe 7 to 10 days of just dropping them into water, they will go on to develop an individual root system, and that can then be planted out. So you'll see it there, that's about 10 days on, just left to soak in water. So just pop this into a glass with water, and after 10 days it'll develop its own root system. So I've got about, I suppose, 10 here in this little jar, and I'm now going to plant these on. That will produce a lot of basil for me, and I equally have more basil in the beds out here which were grown from seed, but I just thought it's just nice to experiment as well and see what you can do with the basil. And I found last year I had 8 basil plants, and I was able to dry them and keep them for over the winter months, but I found I didn't have enough, so I'm just going to do an abundance of it this year, and hopefully I will have plenty of basil to last me over the summer months and over the winter as well. So it's, you might not need 10, but I found when I put in extra, like some of them, this one didn't really do very well, so I can discard that one or have it in my salad. But these ones here, I've lots of them that did do well and will go on to grow into a new basil plant. Again, this little one didn't produce any root, so maybe a good idea to put in more than you actually need, and then you can be ensured that you'll have maybe 4 good plants ready to go. So I'm just going to snip these off. I'll just do a few here just for the sake of demonstration. This is what I do. I'm sure there's lots of different ways to do this, but it worked for me, and I'm sure it will work for you too. So just take a little container with your glass of water, take off the stem and remove any of the extra large leaves. Pop in, I'll put in maybe another 2 just again for demonstration purposes. So here I have my basil. I'm going to just remove the extra leaves, leave maybe 3 at the top, and we'll do one more. The stem is a little bit short, but there you'll see we've got 4 new plants ready to produce their own root system, which can then be planted out after about 10 days to 2 weeks. And I'm going to plant these ones now into little containers, and you will see after a few weeks how they will grow and flourish here in the polytunnel. Now I did plant them outside last year as well, but they didn't seem to do as well as the indoor ones. So this year I think I'm just going to leave them for inside the polytunnel. I have plenty of space, so I'm going to make use of it. Now, so I'm just going to make a little hole for each one. And I'm just going to leave them for maybe another week or so in these little pot containers until I then plant them into the bed. So it'll just allow that root system to develop a little bit more and to anchor into the soil. So a lovely root system there on some of them, really strong. And there you see, so from one little pot plant that you picked up in the supermarket, that one didn't do very well, you now have And there we have our 8 individual basil plants, which I will plant into the beds in about a week's time, a week to 2 weeks time, just giving those plants a chance to develop their root system a little bit further and to make a good connection there with the soil before we put them into the bigger beds. So very happy with that. So if you want to experiment for yourself, just purchase some basil that's already planted into a pot, take it home, remove the stems, soak them in water anywhere from 7 to 10 days, and I left them inside on the kitchen on the windowsill in full sunlight, and after about a good, I'd say 10 days, they had this very well developed root system which you can then go to pot on and grow individually. So I hope you are inspired to give it a go, and I hope you have the same success as I did. And I have to say, I love basil. I use it primarily in pesto sauce. Now I'm just taking these basil. These are the store-bought basil that was separated out into individual plants. I'm planting them here now into the raised bed in the polytunnel, and there's 8 of them in total. And I have no doubt that they will do very well. Now they did suffer a little bit. We had very warm temperatures here last week, and there was a day or two where I didn't get to water them and they just wilted down a little, but thankfully they came back again now that the temperature has cooled and they've been watered well. So we're just leaving a nice bit of space between each plant just to allow for ventilation. Give these a little water. And here they are a week later, all doing really well. We have additional leaves growing there, so I'm very happy that they will bush up and produce lots of leaves in the coming weeks. And these are the zucchini after a few weeks, or sorry, these are the basil after a few weeks. The store-bought basil that I separated out into individual plants. They have taken root, and you can see lots of new foliage on the basil, and I've even been working away from them and making pesto. So as it stands, these are how they look. So there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plants from that one pot, and I could have planted many more, but 8 was sufficient because, as mentioned, I have more basil down here, 4 more plants, and these are the basil that I produced from seed. And today I'm going to just almost take the entire plant almost, because I'm going to make some pesto.